we felt it would give us the best access to the strongest possible group of senior insurance decision makers.
Insurtech Insights is a must-do conference, I think, for the network that is built here.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our discussion today, Beyond Multi-Channel, Strategies for Orchestrating the Ultimate Omnichannel Experience in Insurance. I had to read that because it's quite long. Today's insurance customers are digital natives. They expect seamless interactions across every touch point. They don't think in terms of channels. They want their needs met efficiently, consistently, and intuitively, regardless of how they connect with your brand. Yet many insurers that we deal with today still operate in a fragmented, siloed channel system, creating disconnected customer journeys that frustrate rather than delight. Over the next 40 minutes, our wonderful panel will be sharing some real insights as to what we can look out for in order to create this perfect omni-channel experience. I'm really delighted to have this panel today. I'm going to start by asking Karen, do you want to introduce yourself and why this topic resonates with you?
Yeah, thank you, Erica. Right, am I close enough? Can you hear me?
Yeah, a little bit closer.
Yeah, my name is Karen Peters. I am Head of Financial Services for Sefas Innovation. Sefas are a software vendor that delivers tools to large insurers, banks, to create and deliver omni-channel customer communications. So as you can appreciate, this particular topic is very close to my heart and is something that I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Nelson.
Hello everyone. Nelson Castellanos, Chief Partnership Officer at HDI Embedded. What we do at HDI Embedded is creating tailored embedded insurance programs for the largest brands in Europe. I think this is a very interesting topic because, it's really important how technology is improving the customer experience and how the omnichannel experience from switching from, offline to online, digital, brick and mortar, and how we can make the transition seamless and without any friction.
Fantastic. Ivan.
So good afternoon, I'm Ivan Fazzari, and I drive the digital bank assurance proposition in Allianz Partners, which is the B2B2C and assistance company of the Allianz Group. And I'm almost 20 years with the Allianz Group, and I've been in different roles across the value chain. And so the topic of multi-channel first came many times on my desk. And back then it was a lot about underwriting, pricing, so how can you ensure that maybe you have the same price across different channels despite you have different costs, so lots of challenges. But now we are more talking about omni-channel, and I think we are prepared our technology, because it's much more of a technology topic today, and we are more focused on the customer satisfaction that we were before, so extremely exciting.
Thank you. And last but not least, Quentin.
So hi everyone, I'm super happy to be here and happy to see many people with whom I was at the dinner yesterday and they made fun, they will attend my session, so thank you to all of you. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Qover. Qover is an embedded insurance player at pan-European level, and we enable any leading brands to orchestrate their embedded insurance program at European level. We do that for Revolut across 32 countries. We do that for Tesla in 9 countries. We do that for MasterCard. And it's really about the technological platform where we can configure any type of product, and it's a full stack solution that will manage everything, customer care, claim, and so on. API for the distribution. We also do the customer care and claim management activities, so we relieve the human people and the agentic AI agent that will, manage the insurance contract, handle the claims. And we are also a regulated MGA, so we partner with many risk carriers in the room, by the way. So why I love this topic is that embedded insurance for me is about building a global safety net. It's about, having insurance being invisibly embedded in everything we do, whatever we do. And omni-channel is also the concept of making channel totally invisible. And so the omni-channel and embedded global safety net is, of course, very well connected.
Thank you, Quentin. So let's start with some questions. I'll start with Nelson. What is the most significant customer pain points that effective omnichannel orchestration can solve in the insurance industry?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many pain points when it comes to insurance, right? Like, if you dissect the insurance life cycle, let's start, for example, with the first part, which is the customer choosing a policy. So the complexity of choosing a policy as a customer, there's so many jargon, so many wordings that you don't really know what you're actually buying. So with the whole omnichannel experience, what we can do is not just providing an AI boot where we can just put the terms and conditions, but also if the customer have more questions, how we can seamless transition that customer from that boot to a human interaction and say, look, we can support you with the choosing of the policy. If you go one step further down, policy issuance. So what we do at HDI Embedded is we fully integrate our platform with our distributors, so the customer doesn't really need to put data in one website then being redirected to another portal. So we can use those data points to actually issue the policy, and that's how we can solve that sort of like pain point. The next one that I will say is complexity in payments. That's been paying for everyone, not only for the customer, but also for the insurance, for the distributor, and how you can orchestrate that payment flow. When it comes to embedded insurance, we have premium payments. We also have the commissions, the payouts to the customer. So the way that omnichannel can orchestrate and put the customer in the middle of that, and you know, we had some conversations with different providers like JP Morgan that put the customer in the middle, and then all the different payments flows are orchestrated in an omnichannel way. And then finally, when it comes to claims, you know, we can speed up the claims with a total omnichannel experience. So at HDI Embedded, again, we have a claims portal. We also have a claims AI point of resolution, like a boot, but also how we can seamlessly integrate that when the customer actually needs human interaction, when they need to talk to the insurance in a case that they have an issue when they are abroad with a travel insurance policy. So, you know, like, I think there's so many pain points that they can be solved with this omnichannel, and the idea is really how you can transfer your customer from offline, online, seamless, and without any friction.
Fantastic. Anyone want to add anything on customer pain points? My panel did tease me and so they were just going to go yes and no so that I would have to do talking. So Karen, how do you define a truly omni-channel customer experience in insurance? And how does it differ from the multi-channel approaches many companies currently employ?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, very good question, Erica. I deal with an awful lot of customers, large corporates, large multinational global organizations that, unfortunately, through either acquisition or growth, they have a multi-channel situation, which is not good for the customer. It's not great for the customer experience. But the transition to pure omni-channel is challenging. There's challenges with multi-channel when it comes to siloed data stacks. There's friction when you have to work with different data stacks, siloed information, and it just creates a fractured journey for the customer, which is obviously not what we're looking to achieve. But the problem with these large organizations is keeping business as usual whilst trying to move to omni-channel. We work with, you know, I'm working with a very large client at the moment trying to transition from their siloed stacks of information and their propensity really to have a human interaction and then going back to digital interaction, which is causing a lot of friction within that particular organization. So whilst the challenges remain, and they do remain with much larger, the fintechs obviously are not part of this problem. They don't see that as a problem, but it is the larger corporates that we're finding are coming to us on a more regular basis to really try to deliver that customer acquisition. What you need is acquisition, you need growth, you need retention, and you need delight. You know, you need to coin a phrase, the Amazon experience, but there's some way to go as yet.
Fantastic. I'm throwing out a trick question. I think what is the difference between multi-channel and omni-channel? Who wants to take that? Quentin.
Yeah, I mean, you know, omni-channel by definition is a multi-channel, but where you can switch from any of those channels very easily, very seamlessly, very smoothly, in a totally invisible way. So you could imagine to start a quote online, then get to an agent that you get on the phone, and he could like impersonate your quote on real time. You could switch from whatever you need whenever you need, and it will depend on the customer. It has to be hyper personalized because depending on who you are, what transaction you are, it's about the way to seamlessly switch among any type of channel. And I actually don't like the word omnichannel. I prefer to speak about, an experience that is supported in an invisible way by omnichannel, and I prefer to speak about omni experience. That's a bit how I see omnichannel, but happy to have my colleagues to add anything they want.
Yeah, totally agree with that. But I think the really challenge is to really have a seamless transition, right? When we're speaking about omnichannel, it's just about the transition, right? And it's very difficult to get it right nowadays, and that's the big differentiator, as you were saying. It's just the transition from digital to offline, and it's quite difficult to get it right. I experienced with, I had a claim with a credit card, with insurance attached to my credit card, and I couldn't really see the omnichannel part. It was multi-channel, of course, but no omnichannel.
Yeah, I think one thing that does need to be mentioned is the fact that it should always be the consumer's channel of choice, not the insurer. And I think that's something that some organisations fail to actually approach and solve that problem.
Expand on that, Karen.
It all comes down again to data, to how that data, customer data, is managed within that organisation. Just because you want to email something, a classic example is my mum, she's 83 years old, and her bank has shut down the branches, and two, wants to deliver her bank statements by email. She wouldn't know what an app was if it bit her. So, there has to be some clear understanding about what the customer wants, not what you as an organisation want to deliver.
Oh, love that.
And if I can add, I think we made big progresses as let's say, insurance industry from having an inside-out view to an outside-in view. So we were usually approaching it like, we have certain channel, and in this channel we can offer certain products. Now, this comes with different costs, and this comes with different experience. But now I think we are taking a much more customer-centric approach. In Allianz Partners particularly, we are doing that. So the paradigm has shifted, and we start from the customers and then thinking about the journey that the customers will do, how we can put all our technology, all our experience, also in the decision tree making, how to redirect basically the customer to the most effective and efficient channel inside that journey. Yeah? And so not switching in and out from one channel to another, but having a one seamless experience.
Fantastic. And that leads well into the next question, Ivan. So when thinking about implementing an omnichannel solution, what are the key considerations we need to keep in mind throughout the customer value chain?
Maybe I would like to bring a bit a different perspective here, because I think when we talk about omnichannel, and for sure when we were talking about multi-channel, we all think about the customer journey in the acquisition phase of the customer. But I think it's much more important that we offer that experience when the customer are experiencing our services. So thinking about my company, this is when we provide our assistance. This is where we provide our claims management experience. And this is a lot about, as I mentioned before, it's about technology, so how we are able to integrate those elements, but also the right decision tree and decision making for the clients to really be in the right and the most efficient and effective channel that we can offer in the moment where it needs. Let me bring it into the perspective with a couple of examples that might give a better idea. So as Allianz Partners, we handled last year 72 million assistance cases, okay? Which basically, if you translate it down, it's about 200,000 cases a day. So it's, if math is correct, 137 cases per minute, okay? Those are incoming calls, okay? Call of assistance. Now you can imagine, you can have a squad of people answering the phone, but still being on the phone, they will keep the line busy. So for the next call to come, that they will find the line busy. And we cannot know a priori how urgent is that call and how should be prioritized. So technology comes massively helpful in that case, because we have developed, for example, for roadside assistance, a very effective voice bot. So you can tell what's your problem, and you are automatically redirected to the most effective channel. So if you say that you want to speak to an operator because you need an operator, you will speak to an operator. If you're fine to proceed with the digital channel, you will receive an SMS. In this SMS, you will have a link that redirects you to a web app where we can geolocalize you and send you a tow truck directly without any other issue or activity to do from your side. If we recognize that your voice is trembling, you are agitated, or there has been some bodily injuries, we immediately move to a physical person, because we know that in that moment you need a person to really comfort you. Yeah? And of course, we start all the process for you to get the right assistance that you need. And different but similar could be, for example, with our digital health and medical triage. So imagine you are traveling abroad in some exotic places and you feel unwell. Maybe in that moment, you still don't feel that you need to go, or you want to go to an hospital where they don't speak your language in a place that you don't know. So we have developed an AI-trained chatbot fully integrated into your preferred chat system. So WhatsApp, could be Telegram, where you can first chat and ask any question to an AI-trained doctor that can derive recommendation of what to do. So you have it at your end 24/7. If this will not be sufficient, in the chat there will be a real doctor, again, available 24/7 in your language, helping you and telling you what to do. And then, of course, you can have as well a video chat and a teleconsultation. If this is not sufficient and you need to reach an hospital, you really need to be hospitalized, then we organize also the hospitalization for you. And this is one unique journey, that starts with an AI bot-trained chat and could end up to, more physical and traditional channel. And this is all integrated. And this, I think, it's what really providing a peace of mind just a click away.
Oh, those are great examples. But does this mean omnichannel is only for consumer business, not for commercial? Panel, any thoughts? Is there an application in the commercial side?
So we start to think about, first of all, to SMEs, which are, I think, in the commercial spectrum, the most similar animals to the retails. Still, of course, there are complexity and there are prioritizations that you need to make. So I think we need still to do few more steps, I would say, in the retail channel, but we are already thinking about how to serve, for example, SME customer as well. And Gen AI will help us a lot. I was mentioning, just to conclude before, about the, let's say, the digital health triage. Now we will be able to read the medical receipt, so non-organized data and structure into structured data. So this will massively help, let's say, all the claims process to be speed up. So all these things, and I think AI and Gen AI will definitely help also probably in the commercial sector, but maybe it's for next year.
Ivan, it's so impressive that I even want to have an accident so I can experience that.
We can organize that as well.
We're being videotaped, do not push him off the stage. Quentin, so one of the biggest challenges in omnichannel insurance is overcoming internal and cross-border fragmentation. We spoke earlier about the silos in traditional organizations. What needs to change for insurers to tackle these hurdles and deliver a seamless, consistent experience?
So just to be clear, I don't want to be slightly provocative, although that's a bit my nature, but when you think about omnichannel, you first need to be multi-channel. Before thinking about multi-channel, let's think digital channel. And let's be clear, many risk carriers are already still struggling 20 years later to fully embrace the digital channel. And so for me, a question is, how could you be omnichannel if you cannot be multi-channel because you cannot yet be fully digital channel? And when you take any risk carrier in any country, I'm pretty sure most of you are actually a combination of former different risk carriers, local companies that merge together and so on. Many companies still have very strong legacy IT system, and it's great because those systems are super robust. And they are still there because they are doing their job, and insurance need to be stable, they need to be robust. But you are ending up in a situation where often you have the policy administration system that is separated from the claim management system, that is separated from the billing and collection system. And you know my former employer, that is not that far from here even, my former employer, when I recall that even when there was a claim, they, for several contracts, still had to call the paper archive of the contract to be able to manage the claim. And this is a reality. And so when we ask what are the challenges of omnichannel, there is first a challenge. How do you deal with this situation? Because those systems are very robust. It's not negative to have those legacy, but they are very fragmented. And you know, omnichannel is not only about the technology, it's the customer experience first, and it was highlighted. And you want the tone of communication to be the same. You want the way to communicate with you the same. But the reality is that claim people are on the third floor, customer care are in another building, there is a different mindset, there is a different culture. And so you are dealing with a very strong fragmentation. So the question is, as a risk carrier, how do you solve that? Because you cannot offer omnichannel without solving that fragmentation of IT system and mindset and mentality. And you have basically two options. The number one is to build a kind of layer, an orchestration layer that by API will connect to those legacy and robust system. And maybe you build on top a front end where you can then deal with the entire lifetime. That's a possibility, but it's not easy because a lot of legacy systems are not ready to do that. Another approach is, to build a new solution from scratch. But I know risk carriers that are working since 30 years on deploying their new IT system. They spend billions there. And the reality is that it's already outdated because it's 30 years old. And so it's not an easy one. And I want to add an additional layer of complexity. What I see in embedded insurance, and let's think about Revolut. I don't know who is a user of Revolut, but this bank is truly amazing. You have one app, and with this one app, it's the same product, customer experience, chat, whether you are Spanish, English, French, German, whatever. Truly amazing. You can be in any place in the world, you have a problem, you chat, you get an answer, you call, you have an answer, and so on. Which, by the way, when you supply the insurance for them, it's tough because you have to follow them there, and this is what we do. But what does it mean? It means that I'm talking not only about an omnichannel experience in a given country, I'm talking about an omnichannel experience at the European level or at the global level. So the question is, if I'm an Allianz client, a Belgian Allianz client, I'm Belgian, not French, please, and I go to Germany and I have a problem, I have an unpaid invoice, can I get to the Allianz German office to discuss my Belgian contract and pay it? Absolutely not. Because risk carriers to cover Europe have built 32 local insurance factories with 32 different product, IT systems, and so on. And for me, the omnichannel challenge is also about that. How do you, on top of reconciliating the fragmentation, build something totally pan-European? And actually, it is exactly what we've done at Qover from scratch, digitally native. So our German client or French client are actually having the same experience. They are all in the same platform. It's the same people managing their files from all the value chain. And it's a tough. So to the question, how do you solve those kind of complexity? There is the partnership that could be an interesting one. But going forward, every customer will be truly a European customer. We are getting mobile. And so I'm also challenging this omni-channel experience to not be across the value chain, but at a global level wherever I am in the world. So that's a super interesting challenge, and that's what makes fun to be in this industry.
Karen, what are your thoughts on that?
That's rather a lot to take in. No, we just keep saying about fractured, about silos, and it's a fact. It is a fact, and as alluded to, the very fact of the matter of trying to move from multi to omni, whilst business as usual, is a challenge, and it really is truly a challenge that this whole event has very much focused on AI. It's been so heavy on AI, but it is the AI revolution, and this is where we can assist our larger organisations to move from this fractured multi-channel situation to delivering the omni-channel customer experience that is required for today's business.
And Nelson, you spoke earlier about payments. Do you agree with Quentin?
I mean, like, again, it was a lot to take. But you know what the most important thing, not only on payments, so every single stage on the insurance life cycle, you really need to think about creating human-centric journeys. If it's omni-channel or multi-channel, your customer is a human. The person who is on the other side of the phone or in front of a portal is a human. If you keep that in mind, and HDI is a traditional insurance company, it's not about bringing new technology or no, like you can upgrade your systems, you can upgrade the models that you have, and you can make them talk to each other in a way that you can put your customer and that human in the middle. I think that's the key when it comes to omnichannel, just putting that vision that you're dealing with a human, right?
Love it. Ivan?
Yeah, maybe a couple of observation or feedback to that. I mean, first of all, of course, when you are an insurance company at scale worldwide, there are a complexity. Now, the question is how you reduce complexity for your client. So how your client finally or your business partner do not see complexity. So one of the answers that Allianz gave into this important question, we acquired a couple of years ago, not anymore, I mean, it's a fintech, not anymore a startup, now it's a scaled, called Simplesurance. At the core of Simplesurance was exactly to integrate all the different products that Allianz could offer and expose it to the business partner only with one API. So the business partner doesn't see anymore the complexity that there might be behind because you have different IT systems that could come from different countries or different products, but can experience as well the potential of one-stop shop where can really access all the different products. So integration is key, is fundamental, for us was fundamental, and was a fundamental step into being able to offer our business partner that experience, and also from a data flow perspective and data quality perspective and data structure perspective to be much better.
But I know Allianz partner very well, and you are very agile, and it's great to work with you. But if you look beyond the final client, there is also a question of the partner. You mentioned the partner, and if you take the example of the OEM industry, and for those who attended, there was like a panel yesterday on that one, but OEM, car manufacturers, those kind of OEM, they are really trying to get the ownership of their motor program for many reasons. It's not only about making more revenue, or do you steer back the client to their preferred network, or you create more connection, or you create value, or at the end you reduce the total cost of ownership. And what is interesting is that you have both a local and a global approach, and they also want to have a kind of omni-channel approach, but multi-country. And one of the key challenges is also when we mentioned that the data, because at the end, to have an omni-channel experience, you need a very strong base where you have a standardized data among the value chain, among the different systems, among the different countries, and that also enable you to feed back information to the car manufacturer, for example, that they want to know data for improving the car, improving the customer experience. And I think when we speak about omni-channel for the sake of customer centricity, we should think about customer not only for the final user, but as well as the partner. And the data consistency is core. And if you have an API layer, as you mentioned, that is a one-stop shop, is great. But then behind, you can have like a gas factory or like super complicated to reconcile different format of data and so on. And that's one, I think, of the key challenge we should not undermine.
Just on that one, Quentin, I think it's all really good. And, coming back to the distribution partner, but there is one thing, and the reality is like some of our distribution partners, they don't have an API ready. How do you actually integrate with them to transfer data live? And that's been an issue for us as well. And how do we educate the distribution partner to allow us to transfer the data to provide a proper omnichannel experience to the customer? And just, I don't know if you interact with traditional banks or with traditional retailers. Try to integrate with them with an API.
Let me add one additional layer of complexity, which is, we are operating in one of the most regulated business. Us and banks. So I work with banks, and actually to even get the access to the bank's data, it's a legal question, it's a compliance question, it's a marketing question, because maybe they didn't get the consent from the client. And so that's the first point. So sometimes the omnichannel stops because they didn't think through to get the consent of the client to use those data for getting an omnichannel experience. So let's not forget that we have also this additional challenge.
Yes, some of us are still suffering after GDPR. So, right. So my omnichannel experience has let me down because I don't know if there's any questions. I don't know if I broke it. Were there any questions from the audience for our panel? Did I break it? No. Oh, good. Anyone have any questions you want to ask? Yes.
Very interesting point around the chat. Pretty loud. I was last night. I think one of the biggest things I work in the African market quite a lot is from the bank and insurance point of views, every country we're in Southern Africa and Mid-Africa has different laws around data. So an omni-channel experience in Africa is largely based on WhatsApp in multiple geographies. That's like the standard way to communicate. But that single point of view of data just doesn't exist. So when you're talking to somebody and this is a common problem, you're taking money off my bank account every month, but when I phone in, you don't know my phone number, so you can't recognize my information. And we've had to see that the single view of data, without that, has put about 300% on top of the operational costs of doing any business around insurance across those markets. So that single view of data in the European context, even with GDPR and all of the challenges, is light years ahead of where I think most of the rest of the world is. Still a lot of handwriting, for instance.
And if I may, fully agree with you, and one of the difficulties of working with pan-European banks is exactly that then every country has different regulations, even in Europe. Even in Europe, there are some data restriction, data regulations which are different, so you don't have like one rule. So even more when you want to move like across ocean, down under, or you have different regulations, and so to offer one experience is very difficult. Usually, technology moves much faster than the regulation, and we are seeing in every industry. We have self-driving cars, but before there will be a self-driving ecosystem, it will take time and the regulation will play a role. Plane can land fully automatically since probably 20 years, but the reason why they don't do in every flight is because from a liability perspective, they are not allowed to do. So there is a question of all the regulations and let's say also the insurance behind and the rules that needs to be faster if we really want to offer our clients what technology now allows to offer.
So I've got a good question here. What is the mindset and culture change needed to go from multi-channel to omni-channel? Who wants to go with that?
But so it's an interesting one because outside the technical complexity I was highlighted, for me, omnichannel also raised a question about the tone of communication, the way you want to speak with the client, engage with them. In some countries, you have a polite way to say you and a more like informal way to say you, and some channels use different one. So there is also a cultural mindset. Usually, claim managers are different than customer care people. They sometimes doesn't speak to each other. That's quite interesting. And so I'm actually a very strong believer to have a kind of centralization of all those services. So that's maybe, against, what we are used to do. But if you are able to have a centralized pan-European customer care and claim management activity on the same platform, with the same culture, on the same floor, more or less, but of course, depending on the size, it's quite tough, that has an impact on the tone, on the mindset, on the way you engage with your client, and you need that. So, and I think, by the way, you can grow team with agentic agent for those who were at the panel before to really get more support there. But for me, the first thing is to kill the silo. And any silo are bringing a different tone, different mindset, different way of communicating with the client. And without stopping that, you cannot change that.
Yeah, I think going beyond the client as well is how do you change the mindset and how to educate the distribution partner, right? Again, going back, for example, to the data example. Yeah, there is data regulation, right? But also try to get more than 4 data points from a traditional bank to issue a policy for one of the customers. It's a nightmare. What do you need that data for? What are you going to do with this? Try to get more than 4 data points from a retailer, from a traditional retailer. It's really difficult. So trying to provide that omnichannel experience with those hurdles, it's just really hard. So we just need to educate the distribution partner and also the customer, and internally all the different teams within the organization to really provide a real omnichannel experience.
Fantastic. I think we could probably keep talking for another hour, but I'm going to ask you, Karen, what's your key takeaway for this audience? What do you want the audience to leave us with today?
Okay. I think it's all about putting the customer at the heart of your business, not the other way around. It's truly that simple as a message and as a mindset. How that's achieved, as we've all discussed here, is not the easiest step forward, but it has to be done. It's a challenge, and if you are going to retain and grow your customer in a very, very competitive market, these issues do need to be addressed.
Thank you. Nelson?
I think I've seen a lot of people from the insurance industry, from insurers. I think you just really think every time that you're building and creating a journey, because we do that all the time when delivering an embedded insurance program, think about the human who is in the other side and just build those journeys, multi-channel, omni-channel, just thinking about there is a human behind that, and just build those channels thinking of that, making it easier for them, effortless.
Fantastic. Ivan?
So customer first has been said, and I want to reiterate. I would say then ensure you have the technology to support that. If you don't have in-house, there are amazing companies, and I think also here in this Insurtech that can help you. And then do not think that this is important only for customer acquisition. It's much more important when then you have to maintain your promise on the service that the customer has purchased.
And on my side is omnichannel is about making channel invisible. So we should not speak about omnichannel, but omni experience, and have really this mindset. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So what's clear from our conversation is that this is not just a technology problem. It's a strategic imperative in all our organizations. So I hope you got some great takeaways, some good ideas to help and implement. Please, can we give a round of applause to my fantastic panel today?
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.